Hi, everyone. Welcome to our next community coffee break. While we give everyone a moment to join, since this is a coffee break series for Right Click Tools community, feel free to drop in the chat what your go-to coffee order is. Mine is cold brew on ice with a splash of cream, no sugar. John, no coffee for me, but a blackberry raspberry Red Bull special. Just Red Bull over ice with flavoring.
Yeah, mine is a white chocolate mocha if I have to do coffee. I don't actually like the taste of coffee very often. Definitely more of a tea person, though.
Black with two Splenda, almond latte. Cool. So we can go ahead and hop into the content. This is our second community coffee break within the series. Today we're talking about, unlocking efficiency within right-click tools. And the focus today is going to be productivity and automation. So some housekeeping. There's content available within the resources in the webinar platform. You'll see our 5.4 release, downloadable content, and then a Recast Academy course. And if you're unfamiliar with Academy, it's self-paced learning training courses that we've put together to help you get the most out of the tools. We want you to interact with us. So there's live chat, and there's a couple polls throughout the webinar. And then there's also a Q&A. So within the chat, that's something that everyone will be able to see. For Q&A, that's something that just goes to us. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar or want to interact in any way, use either of those two, and we'll follow up with your questions. And then we're going to have a giveaway. And we do these for all of our webinars. Everyone is automatically entered into that giveaway just by being on the webinar, but your interactions with us will count towards extra entries for that giveaway. So it's $100 digital gift card. You get to pick the retailer, and we announce that after the webinar. For our agenda, this webinar series, the overview, it's all about right-click tools. We had one last week. The one today is for productivity and automation. And then the next one in the series is going to be for inventory and visibility. So if you haven't registered for that one yet, you'll be able to do so. And that should be in the resources as well if you want to sign up for that one. Our demo today for productivity and automation, we're going to go over three main topics. First will be client information. Then we'll go into user tools, so you can see how to change password, security groups, and enable and disable accounts. And then we'll go into automation, which is personally my favorite piece. For our speakers, we have Courtney and John with us. I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back if you've joined us last week. I'm Courtney. I'm a solutions engineer. I've used the right-click tools even before I started working here. So I've used them out in different organizations in different industries. And I started off as support, and now I do more of the sales side of things, and I talk about the tools all the time. And here I am.
Hi, everyone. My name is John. I'm also a solutions engineer working with Courtney. I have been a sysadmin for over 20 years, and the last 9 years prior to coming to Recast, I was primarily on endpoint engineer, where I managed all endpoints covering Mac, Windows, Chromebooks for the University of Alaska for up to 10,000 devices across the entire state. That's kind of my background.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. And for anyone in the crowd, if you want to introduce yourself in the chat too and talk about your experience, how many endpoints you're managing, how long you've been an admin, feel free to do that too so we can get to know you. So Recast Software, we're all about empowering IT at every endpoint. And there's a lot of different ways that we do this, whether it's helping you defend against vulnerabilities, making sure your devices and apps are always compliant, automating tasks to avoid risk, which is what we'll talk about today, automating your third-party patching, and then managing privilege access. So that's kind of like an overview of, why we do what we do. There's over 70,000 community users. So everyone on this webinar today, I'm assuming, is a community user. So a wide variety, across the globe, over 125 countries and 1,200 customers. So with that, we're going to hop into our demo, and I'll hand it off to John and Courtney.
All right, everyone. I am going to be presenting my screen. Great. So as we know, you guys have all been in Config Manager. You've demoed the right-click tools. I'm going to pick a test device, and I'm going to right-click on it and go to our client tools and open our client information. I opened it ahead of time so that I could populate data, but here's the information on that client. We can start off with checking out what client version we have. We get the fully qualified domain name. We get what management point we're talking to. We can also see the GUID for that device. Moving down, we can see our cache, and we can see how much cache is available, how much has been used. And then from here, if we really wanted to, we could clear the cache or even set the cache. I'm not going to do it quite yet because I want to show you the cache details. Now in the cache details, this will populate, well, what's in that cache? And here our tool will allow you to see which content has been orphaned, or what would it give you an actual descriptive name of what kind of content is there. So in our cache right now, we can see that we have Notepad++, but we have a bunch of orphan content. And then you can also expand it down and kind of see exactly where that location is, when it was last used, and what that cache ID is, and whether it's persistent or not. And if you'd like, you can come into here and actually delete that one piece of content just like this. And it gives you feedback saying it's been completed correctly. And also, if we wanted to, we can come back up to our cache, and let's go ahead and clear our cache. So here I am clearing the cache, and it'll clean out every single bit of content. And now when I hit refresh, now it shows you that I have no more used cache space. And now when I go into my cache details, now you see there's all that content is now gone. We can also go into our applications, and this is similar to our remote software center, seeing those applications. And from here, it allows us to go ahead and install or update, or install or remove that application. This would be any application that has been deployed to the user and is available in their software center. And from here, I can just go into and just click install, and it'll run that install. And if I wait long enough for it to run, I can actually refresh this, and we'll be able to see it. Now, execution history will allow us to see any packages that has been ran from the software center. So for purposes of this demo, we created a package called ipconfig, and I'm just going to go ahead and install this from here and hit close. Come back to our execution history. We're going to wait for it to run. I'm supposed to populate. Well, it normally would show up here, but it shows the execution of when that package was last ran. So, and then we can also see our boundaries, what boundaries this client is associated with. And then we can kind of, go in and see and get a little bit more information about what that member name is and just information on those boundaries. So these are our client information from our right-click tools that we can gather and leverage to get a lot more information about that single client. Now, as you can tell, that with the community tools, we can pretty much do this only on one machine. However, with our enterprise tools, we can do this on whole collections, multiple machines. You can just you can select a whole group of machines and perform all these actions on all those machines at one time. And I just want to show that we can also set our cache. So right now our cache is set to 5120. I can set my cache this way and supposed to set it. Okay. We'll have to, but that's supposed to be able to set the cache size. Okay. So moving on, I want to move over to users. And I want to go back to devices. Sorry, I'm a little tired. Come on. And I want to pull up our device. And we can also open up our log folders. So we can open up our client installation log folder. And this will open up File Explorer, navigate it to that device, and to be able to retrieve and view any of those logs from that machine for the installation of the client. We can also open up the regular client log folder, and that'll open up the CCM logs folder and give us a direct access to all of our logs for that machine. That way we can dig in more for any troubleshooting steps. Now, one more thing that we want to show is we want to show how you can also add devices to a collection, and we can choose which collection we want to run it to, and we can hit start, and it'll add it to that collection. If I go back into that, and we can also do this on multiple machines. And if I go look at that device collection, you can see that those machines are now in here. So moving on from the devices, I want to go into users. Now, what's really neat for users is that we can come in here, and I'm going to pick on myself. We can right click and open up our tools. This allows us some options. We can change the user's password. We can enable or disable account. We can add them to a security group. We can unlock the account, or even see which devices that a user has on their machine that they've been accessing. So here you can see that I pulled up my name, and you can see which device I've been accessing. We can even go in and where is it at? We can come up here, and we can also go to our users, and we can change the password from here. So we can enter in a new password. And it will go in there, and we can force them to change it on next login, disable the password so it never expires, or unlock the user account if it's locked. And we can say we successfully changed the password. We can also add users to a security group from here. So we go to security groups. This will give you the list of what groups are currently a part of. So we have direct group membership. And then we also have the nested group membership, and I can say add to new direct group. And we can search for their group. This is the one we want to add. We can add it to that security group. You can say yes, successfully added. You can close it out, hit refresh, and now you can see that it's now been added to that security group. You can also enable or disable account. So when you run that, you can see, oh, well, this account's already disabled. Do you want to enable it? And you have the option to enable it or not, and vice versa. You can disable it from here as well. And of course, you can unlock the device, unlock the account. Okay, and also what I didn't bring up is in the security groups, now that this person's in this group, well, what if you don't want them in there? Well, you can just right click and you can remove them from the group, and it'll remove that person from that security group as well. So kind of like how we can really maximize our efficiency by being all in one location to be able to perform all of our user actions, device actions, all from one spot. So I want to move over to our automation. So I'm going to move over to my other machine and show off our Recast Builder option. So here's our Recast Builder, and what I want to say is you're going to get different options on whether you are in the devices section or the users section. So I'm in the devices section right now. I'm going to pull up the Recast Builder. And in our Recast Builder, we provide multiple templates that are already created and ready to go. In essence, our automation tool, our builder, allows you to create your own custom right-click tools that you can leverage across one or many devices. So as an example, we have one template here that will run all your client policies. So when you kick it off, it'll go through each of the policies that are within the Config Manager applet on the devices and run all those actions one by one until they're all completed. Another one that you can do is force out a pending restart for only those devices that have a pending restart. And what's really great about this is, well, maybe I want to install an application that that needs to make sure it's been restarted, but I want to restart it if it has a pending restart, but I'll install an application if it doesn't. So when I come in here, I can add an action and drag it in. And so if I look at this arrow, you can see that we can add a condition. So now I want to add a condition to this one that says, hey, well, if my pending restart, they don't have a pending restart, I want to be able to install an application. And you can add that condition that says, that conditional logic that says, hey, if this machine has a pending restart, reboot it, but if it doesn't, install an application. And we have over 250 built-in applications, built-in actions that you can perform on your devices. But with that, we can extend it even further because we can even do a PowerShell script block, which allows you to use your own PowerShell script within your right-click tools. And let me show you what this looks like as far as running it. So I can go to the machine, go to our runner, and for purposes of the demo, I'm just going to run hardware inventory. And it'll allow you to run it immediately or schedule it for whenever date and time that you want it to run, or if you want it to repeat on a regular schedule. I'm going to run it immediately and hit finish, and it's going to go and it's going to run against that machine and give you feedback saying that it's been completed. And that will update that hardware inventory for that machine. Now, if I go over to users and do the same thing, I have Recast Automation, we have Recast Builder. So now it's going to come with 3 built-in templates: account retire protocol, compare what groups, and add to group. And so in same theory, you can still create your own and add more actions as you see fit. And this kind of shows you that workflow. So like for user account require protocol, it's going to disable the account, reset the password. It's going to reset the password, disable the account, and move them to a collection that you see fit, or to a security group, or an OU within Active Directory. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. So here I can go into my runner. I could give it a new password. I can run it now. And it's going to automatically add it to those accounts. And you can do this across one or many users at the same time. And if I do it with the so you also have the ability to choose which AD group and do those selections. So this kind of just gives you a brief overview of our right-click tools and what you gain by our automation leveraging our Enterprise Edition. Is there any other questions? I think that's it. Haley?
Let's see, we have one in the chat. Courtney, do you want to address that one? Looks a little different than community version, might not be up to date. Collection tools to paste and list of host names or usernames to add a collection has been invaluable in these last few months. Glad to hear that, Michael. But Courtney, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, it sounds like you're just selecting a different type of object. So going from like the collection versus going from the actual like device objects. So when you're selecting the device objects, you already know what the names of the devices are, right? And then you just have to pick the collection versus when you're actually selecting the collection, we know that part. Now we just need to know what devices you actually want to put in that collection. So it's probably just the different ways, but I did put in the chat too the latest version as well. So if you need that, we're up to 5.4, and it, we always add new features, so it's possible from an older version to a new version we have new features as well.
Yeah, and this is just a high-level overview. Again, we try to keep it short for our coffee breaks. But if you have any questions related to automations or productivity or something that you would like to automate, like now's your time to do it. John and Courtney are happy to answer any questions you have. Michael just asked, did I hear you can manage OU now?
Guess it depends on what you mean by manage OU, like devices in an OU or like move them around, different things like that. We do have some built-in automation with our builder runner where you can move objects around in different OUs. We also have a dashboard called Active Directory Cleanup Tool where you can actually see what's in an OU versus what's in a collection. You can compare them. You can see where things are located. You can see like OS when things were last logged into. I use it to like make sure that I don't have any stale devices in Active Directory just hidden in some folder somewhere or an OU somewhere. Things like that you can, and we have documentation too on our doc site if anyone ever needs any more maybe technical documentation. It's just docs.recastsoftware.com, or it's under our support link on our main homepage.
Awesome. Any other questions for now? Michael, I saw you were interested in learning more information. That's exactly what I was going to ask here. Here's an easy way for us to just know if you would like to learn more about, there's 250 plus automation features in right-click tools. So there's a lot that we could show you, based off of the work that you're currently doing, and we can, customize a demo or, send you specific information. So go ahead and select yes if you would like to learn more, and we can help you with that.
Looks like Dan had another question. If a user doesn't have rights to Active Directory to make changes to users, does Recast give them the ability? So we can. By default, like just using Community Edition, the default way is that you have to have those permissions to be able to do that action. Most of the time you need local admin, or if you're doing something in Active Directory, you need to have access. But with the Right-Click Tools Enterprise version, we have kind of like ways around that where you can either use for Active Directory changes what we call a Recast proxy. It's really just a service account that it would have access instead to do things in Active Directory, but you wouldn't have to give a user specific access into Active Directory, or maybe like BitLocker keys, things like that, where you can use like a service account instead of their current permissions. And we also have a Recast agent as well. So if you run into things like access denied, you could use that service account, or you could use a Recast agent, which is just a client that sits around and on the devices that really does a whole lot of nothing until you're telling it to do a right-click tool action. It's very lightweight. There's no user interface for the right-click tools. So we have ways around more what I like to call fun environments, where there might be more complications and fun hoops to jump through and security and all that fun things.
Any others? Okay, I'll be moving on from this slide. Okay, so our next coffee break will be same time next week. April 4th, we're going to be talking about inventory and visibility. If you haven't registered, you can sign up for that one in the resources. There's a link provided for you. Thank you all for joining us today. If you do have any questions, definitely reach out to us. We're happy to answer them. For those of you who said yes, we can reach out to you and send you any information you want. And then for more information, of course, check out our website, and we'll see you next week. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.